If you're from the UK and you have any interest in the bike scene whatsoever, it will not be news to you that surrons have been taken over, especially in the past year. But as of recently, on other social media platforms, I've seen that the police in the UK have even started using surron Ultra Bs. I've seen on TikTok and on Instagram that the police have been patrolling on these electric bikes, especially in the big cities in the UK, and that's left me with some questions. So let's get on the bike, we'll take a ride and look at the questions that I have on why the police are now using surrons. So let's get talking as to why I think the police are now using surrons. And the first thing that came to mind is why? Why would the police want to use surrons? The first thing that came to mind was obviously they've got to compete with the competition, which in a lot of the cities around the UK at the minute is probably surrons. The groups of people they're probably targeting by using these bikes are probably the electric bike riders. Because now there is such a scene of people riding Talarias, surrons, solar eclipses, a lot of them not road legal, the police obviously need that upper hand so they can actually chase these people down when trying to catch them. So with the police now using surron Ultra Bs, it is now giving them the upper hand and another step forwards onto catching people riding surrons illegally. So the next reason I thought that police might be using surrons is it's probably cheaper for them in the long run to spend the 6,000-7,000 on a surron Ultra B and pay so little to charge it than it would do to buy an actual police motorbike, maintain it, keep it on the road and train people to ride them. The money that the police will probably save by them riding surrons, again over the long run, will probably be quite a big amount. All they have to do is then charge the battery and maintain the small things on a surron that you'd have to maintain, which compared to an actual motorbike really isn't a lot. The charging price for one of them batteries is a lot cheaper than going and filling up a motorbike. Okay, a motorbike's probably not that expensive to fill up anyway. But even if they charge these things twice a day to full battery, they would still probably only spend in £1.50 at very most just to get 2 full rides out of a surron Ultra B, as opposed to a full tank of petrol which would cost them, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 pound maybe. And then again, if they were having to refill their bike twice a day, that cost is then doubled. You're looking at more than 60, 70, 80 pounds a day just to fill up the motorbike, as opposed to spending a couple of pounds charging a surron battery. Then also in the bigger cities, especially London in the UK, you've got the clean air zones. Although the police are still probably exempt to having to pay these sorts of costs, the surron will be a lot more in line with those enforcement. Although a controversial point, surrons are better for the environment. And then the last thing that popped into my head when thinking about why would they want to use surrons is they get that element of surprise. If a policeman comes along on a proper road bike, 9 times out of 10 you're going to hear him coming. Unless you are in La La Land, you will definitely hear them coming. Whether you're in a vehicle yourself, on a bike, walking on foot, you're definitely going to hear them coming. On a surron, it's not going to be until they're 10, 15 foot away from you, maybe even less, that you're actually going to notice that there is a policeman on a bike behind you, next to you, or in front of you. For them, it is now going to be so sneaky for them to pull up on people who are presumed criminals, and for the police to have that element of surprise where they can just show up in a spot out of nowhere. There's 3 or 4 policemen in front of you on surrons. Again, for them, that must be a really big point as to why they would want to start using these types of bikes. I then thought to myself, how is it that police are now using, especially the brand of bike that they have been so against and have been discouraging using on public roads for, well, since they came out? How is it that they can move forward and now be riding these machines that they are taking off of people and crushing? And well, the first obvious reason, the police surrons are going to be road legal. They're going to have the indicators, they're going to have headlights, they're going to have brake lights, they're going to have number plates, they're going to be road registered, they're going to have insurance and tax. The police bikes are also going to be MOT'd when it's needed. For the first 3 years when a vehicle is brand new, whether it be a motorbike or a car, you don't actually need to get it MOT'd for the first 3 years of use. When it is 3 years old, then you'll have to get it MOT'd. Even so, I don't think the police are obliged to actually get MOTs on their vehicles, because I don't think the police use vehicles that are over 3 years old. The police vehicles need to be so up to standard that they will probably be getting new vehicles every 2 to 3 years anyway, so they probably never reach that threshold of a vehicle actually needing to hold a valid MOT. Plus, because they're used so much and what they're used for, they need to be up to a certain standard for the police to drive them daily, and will undergo certain checks constantly for the police to be able to use them. So moving on to the next point, the surrons are classed as a 125cc or the equivalent as a 125cc motorbike, meaning you can ride these bikes in the UK on a CBT licence provided that the vehicle is roadworthy, which the police's will be. So that means they'll be having to put the police through less training and through less driving tests, bike tests, to actually be able to ride a surron. All they'll have to do is a CBT and probably some basic bike training before they're allowed out on their surron Ultra Bs to patrol the streets. Again, being more cost effective for the police, saving them a bit of pocket money. So lastly on this question to myself, I then thought, Well, with the UK trying to push electric vehicles more and more, they're obviously just trying to prepare for the future. They're encouraging that people drive more and more electric cars these days. Car manufacturers will soon be made that they can't bring out any petrol or diesel cars whatsoever. They're all going to have to be fully electric. So the police are now obviously trying to modernise and move forwards with these enforcements that will be brought in the next 5 to 10 years in the UK. The earlier they start testing and trying out these things, the sooner they'll be ready for when these laws and enforcements do come into place. So within the next 5 or 10 years, you can imagine every police bike rider riding a surron or a Talaria. And after doing a tiny bit of research, I simply typed in surron police into Google, and the first link that came up was to a surron website to show that surron have actually been making police bikes and military bikes from factory, ready for the police and the military to just get on and ride. The bikes come equipped with blue lights and I'm guessing sirens as well, so again the police don't have to add these themselves. It is all coming from the surron manufacturer. So then after thinking about those 2 points, I then thought to myself, what does this mean for surron riders in the UK? What does this mean for people who have already bought surrons, whether it's road legal or non-road legal? How is this going to affect the surron community in the UK? Well, obviously if you're a road legal surron owner, if you've got all the legit paperwork and you're riding a bike which is fully registered for the road, you're going to be fine. You might get pulled over. You're probably already getting pulled over more than normal bikes because the police want to know what it is you're riding and whether you're registered. But providing you're legal, you're still going to be fine. For the non-registered road riders and the people who don't have number plates, don't have the road legal surrons and still hit the streets, obviously this means now that you're at slightly higher risk of actually getting stopped or getting chased on your surron by other surron police. I've seen a lot of videos of people on TikTok and Instagram again getting away from police on surrons because the police are in a car, and when you're on a surron bike, it's so maneuverable and it's so easy just to hop on the pavement and turn a different direction to the police that it is literally cat and mouse that the police are never going to win. When you're on a surron, you can literally run the police in circles trying to catch you. If you know what you're doing on a bike and you got a bit of experience and you're pretty confident with how you ride, it was so easy for you just to literally escape. Whereas now the police have again got that upper hand where they can chase you, providing the police are comfortable on bikes themselves, maybe have a bit of a biker background where they're comfortable riding their bike. Now the police riding these surrons literally have the same chance of catching you as you do as escaping. Not saying it's going to be impossible. I bet there's still a lot of us out there who will be able to shred it away from police, absolutely no problem. But the risk you run riding your surron on the road, especially in London, I've seen these bikes in Liverpool as well, I reckon now in these big cities your chance of getting chased by police on surrons has probably doubled. But again, saying that, I don't think there's going to be any change to the surron activity in these cities. I think people are still going to go out and do their thing. You're still going to get mini meets of people riding surrons. You're still going to get the surron wheelie kids who genuinely just don't really give a crap whether they get caught or not and find the thrill in a chase. And while I don't advise it, I definitely respect it. I now think these surron policemen are going to become targets for certain people. There's going to be certain types of gangs out there who really wouldn't mind knocking a policeman off a surron and nicking their bike. I can see it happening. I don't think it's going to be long till we see footage start appearing of these police surrons getting stolen by criminals and thrashed about the streets, maybe even destroyed at the end of it. Surrons are desired after anyway. I've already seen multiple videos of people getting knocked off their surrons in the streets, even robbed of their surrons. A lot of these criminal groups don't really give a crap where they're going to be knocking you off, and will probably try and take your bike once they have done. So eventually I think this is going to lead to a lot of the police in different counties getting hold of surrons. I think they're now going to be using these bikes to tackle people riding in fields, riding all the forestry, riding in places that basically the police don't want you to be riding. They have now got the same ability as any other surron rider to take it into a random field and thrash it about without being heard. You could be out on a group ride with a few surrons and not notice that there is 3 or 4 surrons actually chasing you, ready to take your bike and crush it. If you're involved with a motorbike or the surron scene at all, you've probably seen that the police have already got off-road bikes that they tend to take out, and they will use these bikes to search for people riding motocross trails, riding their dirt bikes in what you'd class as illegal places. They do use these bikes to track down other people, go off-road, and actually chase people who again are causing antisocial behaviour, as they call it. So then lastly, I think if you're one of these people that is going to be riding your surron on the streets of these cities where the police now have access to the surron Ultra Bs, you're going to have to upgrade. You're going to have your bike faster than theirs. If you were looking to do a 72 volt upgrade, you're going to give yourself the upper hand on the acceleration and the power to get away from these police riding surrons. If you're riding a stock bike, they now have the same ability as you to get up to the same speeds with the same acceleration. The only way you might get lucky is if the police are running low on battery and you've just got a fully charged battery. At least then you know you're going to outrun them on battery. But this definitely means if you're a surron rider, now is the time to upgrade your bike and get the upper hand on these surron Ultra Bs ridden by the police. So that then covers all of the thoughts and all of the questions that I had on the police riding these surrons. It's a topic that I wanted to touch on this channel, seeing as we're all about electric vehicles, specifically surrons. I've basically only done surron content for the past 8-9 months now. If you made it this far in the video, let me know what you think about the police riding these surrons in the comments down below. Do you think this is going to put a big stop to the surron and e-bike community, or do you just think that it's a few police riding surrons and it's not really going to change anything? With all that said and done, I'm going to go ride my surron before it gets too dark. Leave some comments down below, like this video, hit the subscribe button for more to come in the future. I'm Matt Francis signing out. Peace.